to this week's episode of Top Lines and Tails, your weekly livestock podcast. And as always, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Harborough, for their continued support. The introduction to this week's podcast is going to take a while because I've got a man who runs a wholesale butcher's business, some retail butcher's shops, a fat cattle unit, 3 or 4 pedigree herds of cattle, 3 or 4 pedigree herds of sheep, holiday lets, breeds dogs, and still finds time to speak to me. Mike Alford, good morning.
Good morning, Andy. How you doing, all right?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. And yourself and Mel and your daughter Charlotte and son-in-law are a tight team there at Fox Hill Farm. But meat is your main business, and the pedigree livestock is maybe a little bit more of a hobby, is it, or is it a shop window?
But both, really, but more of a hobby, really. I've been brought up with stock all my life. Started showing at Smithfield when I was 16. There's a bit of a bug in it, so they've done it all my life, really.
Yeah.
And I got into sheep, quite like sheep. We kill a lot of sheep, and got into the pedigree sheep job as well. So yeah,
okay.
Mainly a hobby, really.
And we'll go back a little bit to your grandfather. I remember him well. There, Harry Cook was a man in amongst the Angus, and he went on and won Perth as well. He's one of the few people that's won Perth with a Newhouse bull, I think.
Yeah, well, he bought a cow for 4,000 guineas at the Newhouse Dispersion. She was the top price, and they sold out. And her first calf, was champion in Perth, and that was in the old market where Tico Supermarket is.
Yeah.
We had the old wooden pens and the upstairs. It was a phenomenal atmosphere they had in that market.
I think the bull went on and sold for 10,000 as well, so good bit of profit in it.
It was back in then. 10,000 then was probably like 50,000 now.
It would be.
It would, without a doubt, yeah. Yeah, then my grandfather, he was in Angus. He showed pedigree, did well with the pedigree Angus, but he also liked the purebred Angus in the fat stock class at Smithfield.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I got the bug, really, showing at Smithfield. The first time I went to Smithfield, there was 400 fat stock cattle. And no calves show, it was 400 fat stockers from meat. Unbelievable. And like to win a class was nearly impossible.
It was,
and to win overall was a dream. And you had to be... You not only had to have good cattle, you had to have luck as well, the right judge, everything. It was all against you, really, to win it. But we managed to win it, but not till 2009, which was in the Royal Showground at Warwickshire.
But you did. You say it took you that long to win the overall, but you did your share down there, Mike. And I remember you coming down there with always some good cattle and always good thick butchery type cattle. There were a lot of these Scottish cattle was still maybe a little bit full of hair back then, and then, as you said, it was about getting the right judge to get a bit of flesh in front of them.
They were, but on the other hand, back then, they weren't as shaped as they were now, but they were better eating quality. Nearly all the best fat stocks had a bit of native breed in them, and that's where the hair and that come from.
Yeah.
And they were a handy weight. You could go to them fat stock shows and buy as a butcher and buy all the cattle pretty well, and they'd all be top quality butcher's cattle. Mm-hmm. Today, I go to the show and there's 200 cattle there, and you can't bid for a lot of them. They're too even the heifers are like bulls. They're too shapy, no fat cover. They're not butcher's cattle. They're just lumps of meat, really. And in some ways, it's put me off fat stock show. I'm always looking for them cattle, which are, I love show cattle. Showy head, 2 straight lines, leg on each corner, perfectly balanced. But also, I'm looking for a butcher's carcass, and a lot of them haven't got the butcher's carcass today. They've gone one step too lean, really.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're sort of 650 to 750 kilos live before they're fit to kill. And the carcasses are 450 to 500 kilos dead. And it's, for the quality trade, it's too big. I mean, I know, don't get me wrong, I realise if you send them sort of beasts to a lot of these markets throughout the country, there are, a lot of the ethnic people in this country like a big lean beast with no fat on it, and they make a lot of money. But for that top class British trade, they're too big and too lean.
Certainly have seen them get bigger, haven't we? Going back in our day, 550 was probably the maximum weight you'd put a champion in, and now, as you said, they're 650, 700. A lot of these cattle that are winning as well, and a different type of beast that's evolved specifically for that job, really, and maybe moving away from the. They are,
but they just need to. I mean, of course, probably what I'm talking. The top end British trade is probably not the biggest beef market in the UK. I mean. And you got to look at the bigger picture. And I say some of these shapy lean cattle do make a lot of money. I mean, they're not in spec perhaps for the retail trade, but the people that do buy them, they do come to a lot of money. So, who's right and who's wrong. But for our trade, they're not really what we're looking for.
No. And to go back to those early days, Mike, you brought out a Galloway. I remember, in fact, you brought a few Galloways, but didn't you win the King's Cup in 1994 with a homebred Galloway as well? So you had a few of those as well.
Yeah, we had pedigree Galloways. Well, we like them because of obviously the quality of the meat, but the show class in them and the head arms phenomenal. I mean, just if you look at one of them real Galloway beasts from the front, looking up his nostrils, he's something else. I mean, They got the perfect pedigree animals head, haven't they?
They have.
For show and everything.
They have.
Yeah, so they had that beautiful. Well, they had some of them Galloways have still got the balance that the old-fashioned Angus used to have. I mean, years ago, those traditional Angus were tremendous show cattle. They're like blocks of meat, square head. And the Angus went away from that. It was obviously to get them bigger because, you need slightly bigger cattle. They got them too small and too fat, which was the right thing to do. But they actually, for several years, the Angus lost that fat stock look because they didn't have that thickness and squareness, whereas the Galloways kept it.
Yeah.
So that's why we showed a few Galloways. But saying that, now there's a lot of Angus. You see, if you go around, do you see fat stock type Angus again, believe it or not. I've seen a lot of them. They're coming back into, they're a lot bigger than they were, but they're starting to get them a bit neater. And there's a lot of good Angus amongst the Angus cattle again today. It's
a long evolution process, isn't it, to the way they've reinvented the Angus from when they got them too small through till now. And as you said, they went through some pain on the way, but and some of those coming back to those fluffier ones now, should I say. And just going on with you at Smithfield there, you won Heifer Champion in 1998. I was stewarding that. Yeah, that was a good beast.
I was, yeah. 1998 when it was now. Well, to be honest with you, we won... For 5 years, we had steer champion in Smithfield for 5 years on the trot.
Right. Okay. That's
yeah, I'm quite amazed. And one of those was the champion in 2009, which was Hanky Panky. But in 2009, we actually had champion steer and champion heifer, and we had champion reserve.
Okay.
The champion steer was Hanky Panky, and the reserve was Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Yeah, so we done really well with them, really.
Remember those two? The one in 2002 I remember was Red Hawk as well. That was another good beast.
Oh yes. I know. I'll be honest with you. When he was a tremendous little steer, and he won the junior title. And I looked around at the other cattle in the thing, and I thought, well, he got a good shot. We didn't win, but probably the most disappointing show I had. Really, I just said, you would take winning and losing, but it's nice to win. But I just thought he could have won, and he didn't. So that was a bit disappointing, really. But you don't come across little steers like that very often.
No, and you have won all the majors, Mike. Though I call them the majors. You've won Expo and Wales.
Well, actually, we won Smithfield. We won the Welsh Winter Fair. We won Countryside Live. We won Agri Expo 3 times. We won the Scottish Winter Fair, and we have never won Birmingham. We've had 3 reserve champions.
that's the one to win, is it?
Well, I mean, yeah, we were there several times with cattle and just didn't go our way. Do you know what I mean? But we won the Summer Welsh Show. We won the Highland Summer Show, fat stock wise, and then we've done a lot with the pedigrees. We won the Highland Show with the pedigree limbs 4 times. We won the Welsh twice.
Let's go on.
Let's
just dissect those pedigrees a little bit. Mike, you say the pedigrees are just a few cattle there. You've got 4 breeds are there. But if we start with the Limmers, which is probably what most people will know you for from Foxhill Farm there, and you got into Limmers, I think in 2009. Put a bit of heavy investment in to start off with a few expensive cattle, but they paid off.
Yeah, we went. We won all the fat stock shows, and we sort of getting a bit bored with it. Perhaps we ought to do something different. We always liked pedigree cattle, but we've been so busy in the business, we never had time to because pedigree cattle is a full-time job, don't you? Calving them, getting them in calf, embryo work, calving them. So we said when a herd disperses and there's good cow for sale, we'll go and buy one. Well, we thought that one year, and we just waited. And the following year, didn't really know the herd Bankdale, but somebody actually in the Limb Society said, "Oh, they're selling up," and they just said champion in May with a bull called Bankdale X Factor, and the mother's for sale, and she's hellish well bred from France. Her mother was from France, so we went and had a look at the herd and quite liked the cow, and we quite liked her. One of our daughters, well, there's 2 daughters in the sale, made a lot of money. One made 60,000 that Proctor's bought, and then there was another one which was by Fantastic out of her called Bankdale Elizabeth, which we bought for 35,000. We quite liked her, so we bought her and her mother for 50,000. Alice bred £650,000 worth of progeny, and Elizabeth bred 250,000. So that was a good start.
Certainly a good start. And one of those progeny, of course, was Foxhill Farm Grace, and a lot of people will say one of the best cattle. If we did a survey just now, one of the best cattle they've ever seen, certainly in the pedigree show circuit. What a tremendous heifer! And was she ever beaten, Mike? She won just about everything I ever saw her out in.
Yeah, well, Gracie was actually in Alice when we bought her. That was the calf that was in her. Okay. Yeah, she did well. She went on and won the I think the calf show at the Scottish Winter Fair. She won the limbs there, and then we kept her around. She was born the wrong age for showing the first time. Right, she was August born.
Okay.
But we showed her as a 2-year-old. And she won. She won the 3 counties, which was the Limited Grand Prix. She won the Welsh, the Yorkshire, and the Highlands. She won all the majors in 1 year. So that was a tremendous for us to do that for the first calf. Yeah.
And then she went on, I think, and won most interbreeds certainly in a few of them anyway, if not all of them.
Yeah, she did. She won the interbreed of the Yorkshire, but she was and she was reserve at the she won the Yorkshire and reserve at the Welsh, reserve at the Highland, believe it or not.
Okay. Okay.
And then we flushed her, and we had 4 or 5 calves out of her. One of them, the first bull calf we had was Louis Vuitton. He was champion in Carlisle, made 20,000. And then at the same flush we had another one born later, and he was reserve in May and made 35,000. So she bred quite well as well.
Yeah, certainly. It shows the listeners on here. It shows that if you put the investment in and your commitment behind it, that can pay off there. And obviously, yes. And I think you had 5 champions in Carlisle sale altogether. You've gone on with the limousine. How many limousines do you run in now, Mike?
We only have 10 cows and we have about 15, 20 embryos.
Okay.
So we haven't got we kept them down. We had a sale 2 or 3 years ago. We had we sold in Carlisle. We just keep them. We don't want to. If you get too many pedigree wise, it becomes too much of a. You don't concentrate on the best ones. We just find you only want a few of each breed, really, just and do a bit of embryo work. It's a bit of a hobby, but if you get too many, it becomes a bit of a. We got the meat business to run, it becomes a bit of a full-time job. It's trouble.
Sure. And go on to one of the other breeds then, the British Blues and Kylie. And Kylie is some cow. I think is she maybe the only cow you've got, but she's certainly some beast.
We got 2 cows, Kylie and her daughter. Charlotte shows them. Yeah, she her first calf won the calf show in the Expo in Carlisle, the Belgian Blues. As about 10 or 11 months old, and we kept her. Yes, we only got a couple. We just have a couple of blues, not too many.
I see you'd used Park Daimler on there, which is a bull I remember going back the way. So you're looking back to some historic genetics a little bit.
We used him because we knew Ridge Dean, which was Michelle Wild, and how good her blues were, and she did really well with Park Daimler. So we put her on Kylie, and that's the cow that won the Expo in Carlisle.
That's the one we call Nadia, is it?
But also a lot of them Daimler daughters. They used to put a limousine. She used to put a limousine bull across them as heifers, and a lot of them cows, them Daimler daughters. I mean, did really well. We had a calf. Funny if we bought a calf for, and he was only 10 months old. He won the juniors title in Smithfield.
Okay, yeah.
And he was out of a Park Daimler daughter by a limousine bull.
Yeah.
And I think she had a pedigree that blue heifer, same way bred, but by a blue that was out of a Daimler daughter. That won the pedigree championship in Smithfield.
Yeah, certainly. But Daimler was a bull before his day, that's sure. He was more upright and more on his legs than a lot of the cattle were at that time.
Yeah.
That time, and you remember those early cattle. Some of the blues were a little bit interesting behind, but they.
Yeah, but he actually left cattle with really fat stockery type. They're awful correct there with the plates and tail end and round. They were beautifully round and balanced. Yeah, proper and good on their legs. They were just proper show cattle.
And we'll go on, Mike. I don't keep you from your holiday. We'll go on to the Angus, and that's more of a recent investment. But I guess that's you revisiting your grandfather's roots a little bit. That you went into Angus in 2015. Yeah,
just a little bit about that. I mean, obviously, I'm a butcher, and we like them traditional. Obviously they were too small and fat, but we like them round. And Angus shouldn't have any corners; they should be round. And they brought the Canadians in. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like them. I didn't like looking at the cat. The first cross was okay, and then because the first cross actually made them bigger, but they kept that roundness. And when they used the Canadian bull the second time, the cattle were big and plain basically, or plainer type. And we didn't really like them. And I said, "Oh, not for me." So that's why I got him. I said it. But if I ever see any Angus I'd like again, I said, "We'll get a few."
Okay.
And to be fair, they have been prudent. Now I was wrong. I actually criticised the Angus for bringing them big plain cattle in. But just remember that if they hadn't done that and got them bigger and gone through that awkward stage, they wouldn't be as good as they are today.
Well, they are now the number one, aren't they? Or they're supposedly certainly the number one in registrations. And as you said, we said earlier on, it's taken a long time to get them back, and they had to go through that pain barrier to get them there. But
exactly right.
But you waited until the Angus were a bit smarter, and I think it was John Loftus's sale when you get started on those.
Yeah, we just started liking one or two of them, and I just thought we wouldn't like nice to have a few. John Loftus obviously had a good herd, and we went and had a look round. Yeah, they weren't all our sort of cattle, but there was a heifer there with a hell of a good bull calf on it. Not a big heifer, but a real Angus type. And I asked him how she was bred, and it was an embryo imported from Canada.
Okay.
And her mother and her grandmother were both agribition champions in Canada.
Right.
And we quite liked the heifer, and she had such a good calf. It was as big as a cow, actually. He was only 10 months old, but he was really thick. And so we thought we'd buy that one. And there was also another heifer the same way bred in the sale, a year younger, at Justine calf. And we liked her as well, so we bought the two. We gave I think 13 for one and 7 for the other. But the bull calf was only 10 months old. He made 14,000.
Right.
It was just, but we bought that cow, and then she's bred. We had two calves out. We had one at 9,000 and one at 6,500. The first two bull calves embryos out of her, so she's bred quite well as well.
Okay. And then you went on to the Blealac dispersal, of course, probably one of the biggest, most talked about sales of the century. And you went there, Mike, with your checkbook, and you're going to pick the ones that you wanted from there.
Well, we only had the 2 Angus cows, and we just said, if another same again, if a good herd gets sold and top herd gets sold, then we'll just might buy 1 or 2. All of a sudden, the Blealac herd came for sale, and they did production sales over the year, and a lot of them have gone and done well. But there's nothing quite like going for it doing the dispersal. So we went there and picked out 2 or 3 cows we thought were breeding and got them bought really.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the cows had bred the champion in October that year. I can't remember the bull. He made 24,000. I can't remember his name. And the cow was in sales. We bought the cow, and she had a calf on her which made 16,000, which we didn't buy. We just bought the cow, and she was in calf again. And the heifer calf ever was champion at the Agri Expo in Carlisle, the Angus, and was champion in Stars of the Future, and was junior native interbreed.
Right. Okay. So soon went on and did well. But it does,
fantastic.
It does.
It was a good effort.
It does show that you do have the right eye for the job, because when you go to a sale and you buy one, you invariably buy the top price one. And you don't just buy the top price one by throwing your money about. You pick the one you want, and it happens to be the same one that everyone else wants.
Yeah, we just don't. It's not, if you're starting out in pedigree world, if you start worrying, you need to buy the genetics. And if you start worrying about it, you could go and you might not get it right. But if you go to a dispersal and you're buying something that's already breeding, you're halfway home.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to a production sale and you think we're only going to get 4 or 5 grand for one, you buy 10. You could be wasting your money. Do you know what I mean? It's just.
Yeah.
It's just, and you don't want too many. Do you know what I mean? We're flushing the Angus now. We've got 1 or 2 embryos on the ground, so we'll just see how it goes.
And you bought one from the Chadwell again, another dispersal, another great herd as well. So I mean, you've picked the places to start your Angus herd from.
Yeah, well, just unbelievable, isn't it? That 12 months or 6 months later, the Chadwell sold up. So we thought we better go and have a look, and there was a lot of good cattle there. Obviously, they've done well at the shows and everything, and we quite liked the heifer we picked out. And funny enough, her mother made 28,000. I think was the top price to sell with her heifer calf. And the heifer we bought was her daughter. We bought for 22,000. So top 2 prices were the same rate bred.
Okay, yeah.
But they were actually Blealac Lady Heather breeding.
All right. Okay.
So we never actually had that line. So we quite like the heifer, and we bought that one. Yeah.
I think
time will tell.
Going back to the Blealac, I think that was an Evora line as well. So you've got some of the top lines that are in the breed at the moment, and that comes down to doing your homework as well as just looking at the cattle, doesn't it? You might turn up and find the best one, but you've got to study the job a little bit, and that takes a lot of time, for a busy man.
It's easy to have a farm full of show cows that don't breed. Easy. So and to be honest with you, pedigree breeding, if they don't breed, you won't be showing for very long. So you keep it going. They got to be breeding, because you say what you like. Fat stock showing. Yeah, you can go and buy a cow because they're on the market to buy if you're prepared to give the money from and do well with them. But in pedigree breeding, if you want to do well in it, people don't sell the best. So if you can't breed them, you won't win much, because it's hard. You can't buy them best cattle because people don't sell them.
No, as you said, people don't sell them unless you go to dispersal, which is what you did there. And you talk about the show. Yeah. Talk about the shows. You ran a big team of cattle to all the shows. You had Drew Hislop on the team for a while as an able young man, and you turn out at all the shows, and you're never far away from the top. But it again takes a lot of organising and a lot of feeding and a lot of commitment.
Yeah. Obviously, we've always shown her. Well, to be honest, Mel does most of it. Really, she's on the farm all the time. She runs a holiday business, and she organises a bloke. She's an unbelievable organiser. She can organise anything. So this year we were so busy in the meat job. We actually Drew Hislop, and he's got his own farm now up in Ayrshire. Mm-hmm. And Drew's going to be showing 6 of our cattle for us.
Oh, right, okay, that makes sense.
He's up there doing it for us. Well, it's just. He wants to go on his own, and we got some nice cattle there, so he was quite keen to do it. So we gave for him to do it, so we can go to the shows this time and just take it a little bit easier. Yeah,
that's the way to do it, certainly. But it won't be that easy, because we'll go on to the other side. I mean, you've still got a crossbred calf, I think, this year, haven't you? Did I see you buy one out of Brecon? Yeah. So you're still playing in that game. But let's go on to the sheep side of it, Mike, because we all know sheep take more bloody time than cattle do, don't they? They're a time investment and a difficult thing. But you've got 3-4 flocks of sheep now, you and your daughter. So
we have son-in-law does the Suffolk, so he's keen on Suffolk, so he's going to be showing them. We're doing the sheep. We're actually going to shows with the sheep ourselves, and Drew doing the cattle. We got probably Alford and Charlie's we're going to show. couple of tap lambs, a ewe lamb, gimmer, and a Shirley ram. And probably not going to show any Texas this time. We've got a few Texas as well, so we got all sheep at home, so we're pretty busy really. But it's hard to do the cattle and the sheep. It's too much.
Yeah, I can totally get that. Totally get. Let's just talk through your sheep a little bit. Then you're into Charolais. I think you went in 2005 or 6. I think you went in there from Lionel Organ's dispersal. And again, talking dispersal sales, you couldn't have picked a better man to go and pick some seed stock from originally.
No, we bought a few different places. Just one or two. We got probably 10 gimmers together. Mm-hmm. And then whittled them down over the years, and probably 4 or 5 lines of bred. Most of the sheep I got now come from 4 lines, which is the way it is. And we got one line that breeds unbelievable. To be honest with you, he bred the ram that Logie bought for 16,000 in Worcester. Foxel Vavavoom like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And he reckons one of the best breeding tups he ever had. Like.
I saw him. He was at the Highland Showcase a couple of years ago. A tremendous sheep. And then he bred a son to 17,000, which you bought back again. So is that right, or did you sell him another one?
He did. I bought one off him for 15,000 private. I bought a lamb on the. I said to Logie, if you ever get a lamb bike, I like the tap so much. He was at me best ewe, and he was tremendous. You never see such a sheep. What a confirmation he was. So I said to Logie, if you ever get a good lamb, like one of your best ewes, I said I'll buy one back, and that's the one I bought. All-Star, Logie Durner All-Star, he's called.
Okay.
But Logie went to the Worcester last year with taps by our tap, and he had Champion Reserve Ram lambs, Champion Reserve Shearling Ram, Champion Reserve, and they're all by Vavavoom, so I was well pleased, really.
Yeah, I'm sure you were. There's some boys, those Logie Durno boys, you're a hard worker, they're hard workers. I think you guys are kindred when it comes to that, but they run a lot of breeds and they do the job really well, don't they?
Phenomenal, probably the best sheep producers of pedigree sheep in the country, I would have said, of all breeds. Unbelievable. I don't know how they do it, to be honest with you. Like you said, the work in sheep is more than it is in cattle. It's endless.
Yeah,
endless.
Yeah, it is. It is. And another great breeder, I think you were standing at his sale, Percy Tate, when he died there. You bought a few other Percy's dispersal. Did you buy Charolais from there, or I got another breed?
I didn't buy any. I just bought a couple of Rouge. Well, Will, the stockman at there, came to work for us, and he liked the Rouge. So we bought a couple of Rouge at the sale for him to have a go with.
Okay.
And that's where we got the Rouge from.
So you got a few Rouge there as well. That's 3 breeds and 2 breeds rather we're into. And you mentioned the Texels, and I'm currently writing about the Texels just now. And those are Charlottes, I think, the Texels, aren't they? Your early females came from Strasbourgie, Ettrick, Malcolm Reed, I think, a gimmer from Plusha.
Over the years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we probably haven't got on that well, the Texels, really. I mean, trouble is I'm commercially minded, and the Ram Lamb Texel job is not commercially minded. It's 2 breeds, really. You got the Ram Lamb Texels, which is where the showing and the fun is in some ways. Mm-hmm. But the real Texels are the Shearling breeders that breed to the commercial man, and they're 2 different breeds. You know, if you breed a Shearling type Texel for that market, and you want to show, you're wasting your time, because they're not what the breeders are looking for. They haven't got the head, and all the things that the people are looking for is in the Ram Lambs. And in my opinion, they're not commercially minded in one way a bit at all. And I'm commercially minded, so we're looking at the wrong sort of sheep, really.
That makes sense. And you talk about Shearlings there. I know you brought it up with John Elliott there at Rawburn, so John's a Shearling man as well, probably with similar ideals to yourself. 40,000 was he?
Yeah, well that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but we've got some good sheep on their barn now, but they're bigger, but they haven't got enough. They haven't got enough head, because they're more Shearling type. And if you want to go showing, unless you got the head, you got no chance. No matter how good your sheep are, if they haven't got that right Texel head on them, wasting your time.
Yeah, absolutely. You said a slightly different sheep there, and
well, 2 different breeds, yeah.
And the Suffolks you mentioned, Charlotte got married last year, I think, and it's Neville into that. And did you paid 19,000 for a gimmer from Ivor Evans and a ewe lamb as well? So and then you turned up at the shows with her last year.
Yeah, Nev left the Suffolk, so we were at a Suffolk sale. We bought him a couple of Suffolks from Miffer, who's got some of the best Suffolks in the country. And we bought a really good ewe lamb, and she went on and bred quite well. But the ewe lamb the next year is a Shearling. She won the Yorkshire, Devon County, Royal Cornwall, everywhere she went. Tremendous skimmer,
She was a tremendous sheep. I remember her at the Yorkshire show, and unlucky not to win the Interbreed that day. I thought, what a big, powerful sheep.
I know.
Great character about her.
She was, yeah. But we flushed her. We got a couple of really good ewe lambs over. She's going to show one. Nev showing one ewe lamb this year.
Okay, good.
Yeah, she's bred really well. Good.
And a few blue Texels there I see come in. Did you stick with those?
No, we haven't got. They were them for Charlotte when she was young, but no, we're not. I'm not keen on breeds. I don't think commercially viable. You know, they're tremendous show breed. Kids love them. Great for showing, but just long term, you know, unless you can sell tups to commercial men, you wonder how long some of these breeds will go on. Do you know what I mean? It's you need the commercial side of it to keep a breed going long term.
Yeah, amen to that one. I won't say any more because there's a lot of blue text breeders listening to this program. And just move on to your own business. You mentioned that Mel runs the holiday side of it, and you've got dog breeding as well. But you've got 3 or 4 holiday cottages there. That seems to be something you're putting an investment in. Some shepherd's huts and various things. Is that a direction that that you're going?
Mel's got 5 holidays and 3 shepherd's huts. Yeah, she's we've done it for a year. We had 1 or 2 for years. Gradually bought 1 or 2 more. But Mel does that all the time, full time.
Okay.
Charlotte helps her, and then Charlotte runs the office in the meat business as well.
Does she? And she has horses too, of course. Just don't forget that, a passion for the horses that she has, and profitable things, horses, Mike.
Not really, no. They got they're breeding a few Welsh cobs at the moment. They got section A's and B's. Yeah, they got a few foals of it. Yeah, they quite like doing that. So, yeah, it's you can't beat livestock and stock. You know, it's all animals. It's good for the mind, isn't it, really?
Done exceptionally well, haven't they, and getting to Olympia and various things, and you'll be very proud of them.
Done really well, yeah.
Let's just go on. Yeah. Let's just go on to your own business, Mike. I said I won't keep you too long, but your own real bread and butter, of course, is it started with a butcher's shop and then expanded on that.
Yeah, so I started in a butcher shop. We used to kill our own meat. Grandfather had it, and we used to kill on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then sell it the rest of the week in the town. And then I think in 1990-ish, the new EU regulations came in and said that, you know, you either got to upgrade this site we had there or build a new one, or they'll take your license away, basically, because it produced beautiful meat, but the regulations is not about that. The regulations are about premises and paperwork and all that sort of stuff, not about the meat. There's nothing to do with it. But the meat was perfect, but the premises they considered not good enough. Yeah. So we built a new plant on the other farm in '93.
Where's that, Mike? Just remind me.
That's a stable grove in Taunton.
Taunton, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then we only killed for ourselves to start with, but then we had a few butchers because we built a bit bigger than what we needed. Asked us about killing stuff, and we started killing stuff. And there was a lot of abattoirs around then, and you could get stuff killed everywhere. There was too many abattoirs, really. But we started doing a bit, and over the years they started closing up different places, and we're probably one of the only ones left in the area. And we do 300 cattle, 500 pigs, and 500 lambs a week now. We supply a lot of about 120 butchers through the southwest up to London. Mm-hmm. We've got 2 of our own shops, and we got a cutting plant. We bone quite a bit of beef. Yeah, so it's expanded quite big, really.
Yeah, and you provide a lot of shops. And you still keep a couple of shops yourself, though. Still keep your hand in there to know what the customer wants.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we do. I always thought that if we never used to do wholesale, but I thought, well, if we supply the butchers the same quality as we sell ourselves, there must be a market for it, because most wholesalers are not into retail, if you know what I mean. But if you understand retail, you can get on well wholesaling because you know what the retail wants, what the retail trade's looking for. But a lot of wholesale people that never worked in retail don't know what the retailer's looking for, really.
No, that's
so. We supplied them exactly what we did: all best gilt pigs, all them best lambs, nice heifers, all handy weights, all about eating. I don't buy livestock unless I think they're going to eat nice. Mm-hmm. And that's what retail's all about: meat that eats nice.
Yeah, sure. And you'll where will you pick up those then? You stand in the market and buy them, or have you got regular suppliers to send them?
We buy, but we fatten 40 or 50 a week off our own farm. Okay. We got 300 or 400 cattle on ad lib feed, indoors and outdoors all the time. Right. So we're pulling from there, and we buy them. We like continental cross natives, really. But those cattle that used to be in Smithfield years ago, you know, they were Sharley limbs out of native cross cows. They're all at 550 kilos and finished, and the meat's as soft as butter. And so we buy a lot of them easy flesh cattle that are going to easy to finish and nice soft meat. That's what we're looking for.
Easy to finish, easy to finish, maybe, but not so easy to find. I would have thought, Mike. There can't be. Yeah, there's not a general supply of that.
No, but it's surprising. Not that, no, but down in the south, man, it's surprising what you can find. I mean, we cover a lot of markets, and I got people buying from me as well. When they see them, they buy them. Do you know what I mean? So, no, if you went to one market, you wouldn't buy 40 or 50, but you know, they get 1,000 cattle there on a Sedgmore on a Saturday, for instance.
Right.
And I bought 40 last week, 20 to kill and 20 to feed.
Okay.
Some weeks you might only buy 15 or 20, you know, so it's not big numbers, but you can. If you know what you're looking for, you can find them, yeah.
And I suppose when you do see them, you've got the farm you can drop them into if you're not going to kill them that week as well. So you've got both bases covered.
That's what we do.
Both bases.
But we also cover the market as well by all them traditional cattle, don't we? So.
Okay. And is the meat business changing? What's Brexit done for you, Mike? It's a question I ask everybody because it hits different people different ways. Was there ever an export market for you to start with, and are you involved in that?
Well, we used to do, but not with them for several years. We used to export a few cows actually to Holland one time. We kill a few cows as well. But then they became worth as much money in the UK, so we stopped exporting. No, I think that export market's there if you want to do it, but we don't because we're too busy on other things, really.
Sure.
But the people are exporting. I mean, Brexit is, the lamb job, they're still exporting the lamb. It's all, people were nervous that everyone said the lamb trade was going to be on the floor when we came out of Brexit. They're going to be worth this and that. They actually went up in price.
On fire, yeah.
So it's great, but a lot of things in agriculture are opposite what everyone thinks, aren't they? What people are doing is farmers are buying store lambs. If everyone wants it, it's never any good. And normally when nobody wants it, I know you don't want it either, but it nearly always turns into money. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of things in agriculture are quite opposite what everyone thinks. It ends up different to what everyone thinks.
Go against the trend. I remember that going back to the days we used to take cattle down to Smithfield, and you'd see a class of Angus, and there'd only be one or two in. You think, I'll bring some of those next year, and you get there, and there's 25 of them in there. So that's yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah, if it's happening now, it's too late, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right. And do you believe that the industry is getting the support that it needs government-wise in the meat industry, or are you doing what you can?
Well, not really. I think that I thought this, like COVID and the food shortage, and there's been a bit of food shortage now. Nobody wants to work, and it's if you want to eat food, somebody's got to do some work to produce it.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that they were not interested in agriculture, but those things there I thought would make them more interested in agriculture, thinking food security. But I don't know that it has really. I mean, they keep pushing on with everything. I mean, nothing wrong with it. Everything has to be, the environment has to be sustainable. Everything has to be sustainable, but not at the expense of food. I mean, if you don't eat any food, you don't live. And all the trouble in the world and everything, thinking you're going to get it from somewhere else. I can't believe that the government haven't really stood on for food security and pushed it, because everything's looking that way, that we need to have food security.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And they don't seem to be that keen about it. It's strange, really.
Mm-hmm. And times are changing as well, money-wise and what have you. That everybody says food is too cheap now for the people. Then realistically, one or two people have said these animals should be 50% more, or beef should be 50% dearer than it is.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you just when I was young, I mean, a working man used to spend nearly half his money on feeding the family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it went down, it was probably, I don't know what it is now. Maybe it's 10 or 15, 20%. I don't know, but it was less than 10% for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So in real terms, even now the food's gone up. From what it was, it's still not as dear as it was 50, 60 years ago. Not in the value of money. No. So it's people have had food too cheap, and it's unsustainable cheap food, because farmers, unless it pays, people won't produce it, and people need to work. I mean, you can only produce so much food with machineries and robots. You still need people to run it all. Do you know what I mean? And certain jobs need to be done by hand, and nobody wants to work. I mean, it's. We find it hard in the meat industry. We struggle for staff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. It's hard work. It's consistent.
What sort of numbers of staff do you run, Mike?
We have about 60 staff in total, but people can earn. We got people earning £1,000. People in our trade can earn, and agriculture can earn more than they can behind a desk now. I mean, the teachers have pushed kids to go to university and technical sort of things for years, because we don't do manual work, but actually it's getting to the stage because no one wants to do any manual work, they're getting better paid than the people sat in front of a computer screen.
Yeah, that's true enough. So
go more that way, I think.
Yeah, certainly. But if the ones that you can't automate, then you do need to pay some skilled people to do that and to learn the skills. And let's just go on. And finally, Mike, you do a lot of judging. I've never seen a man judge as much as you do, but that's because you've got so many different breeds going on, and you must turn down a lot of judging appointments. I don't think you could fit all that in around a busy life you have.
Well, I do turn a few down, but no, not if it's a decent sized show or show that's going to have some stock, I try to do it if I can. Yeah, mm-hmm. But you can't do it all. I mean, but it's not. I mean, if you're not a bad job if you're retired with it, to go around judging a few shows in the summer. I don't think anything better. But like you said, when you're busy, it's hard to fit it all in, and that's the trouble.
Yeah, it is. I saw you judging at Agri Expo last year and made a fantastic job of that, and stood behind what you said, stood up and spoke well as well. And then round the corner, Mel was winning with an Angus calf, so she was quite happy that she.
I didn't know till I finished judging that the calf had won the Angus, so that was quite a pleasant surprise.
Excellent. Well, Mike, I really had a lot of your time. I appreciate that. I know you're away just at the moment, and downtime must be difficult for you to get with amongst all those things. But we'll see you out on the shows in the summer, I'm sure. Whenever the first shows start, you won't be far away from show season now. You must be just getting to kick off.
No, that's right. Yeah, I think Drew's going to do one or two up north to start with, and then we're doing the Highland, Yorkshire, and the Welsh. So can't wait. It'll be great fun.
I'll be at all three of those as well. Look forward to seeing you, Mike. Thanks very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes. Thanks for the interview, Andy. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Nick. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Top Lines and Tails, your weekly livestock podcast, and we'd like to thank our sponsors Harborough for their continued support with this podcast. And don't forget, Harboroughs are suppliers and manufacturers of high quality feeds and offer free nutritional advice, so please get in touch with your local Harborough representative or look out Harborough on the internet to find out all about their great products and their great service. And while you're there on the internet, don't forget to look out our Top Lines and Tails Facebook page, where you'll find a few photographs and other information to back up this episode and previous episodes.